Every great team has to believe before they can win, and it's the same way in our families. You can't go out and find confidence, you have to build confidence. Hi, I'm Janae Moss, and I study sport and performance psychology, and I love to apply it to families as well as dream studies. Today I'm going to talk about self-belief, which is the S in my vision framework. Self-belief is a simpler way of saying self-efficacy, which was a coined term by Albert Bandura. And he was somebody that believed that, and he studied and he researched, and I read a ton of his research, that you can't just go out and decide to have confidence. You really have to look into the past and see what things you've done well so that you can use those things in your current situation to become better. One thing I wanted to talk about on this point is something that with myself, I would say, okay, if I think about myself, Janae, and my self-confidence, growing up and being a girl in the world, you know, there's all these things that come at you and tell you you're not good enough. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl or a man or a woman. We have these messages that drop in that tell us that we aren't good enough. Well, it wasn't until I have one stepdaughter, bonus daughter, and then 5 more biological daughters, and then I adopted a little boy at the end. My husband and I adopted a little boy at the end. And over those years, and telling my girls, especially when they were all young, I remember saying when they were going to school, don't worry, doesn't matter what other people think, just show up and be the best version of yourself. Go into the world and do what you love because you love it. It's like that quote by Dr. Seuss, and I'm going to mess it all up, but it's like, be who you are and say what you say. This is wrong because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. I totally said that in the wrong order, but you get the point. And that was the message that I gave to my kids over and over and over again. Just show up who you are, and people will either love you for that reason or they won't, and you don't need to spend time with them. But because I said that to my kids over and over and over again, I started to believe that message, and I became more self-confident because it was a message I was telling to myself all of the time. So it's the same way with self-belief. You know, what messages are we saying to ourselves over and over and over? Are we saying, is our self-talk, which is a huge part of performance psychology, is self-talk. What are we saying in our minds over and over again that we're repeating? And I'm going to say that word over and over a million times because that's what our brain does. What are we saying? Are we ripping on ourselves? When you look in the mirror in the morning, say you wake up, you're ready to go to work or work with the kids or school or whatever you do, are you thinking to yourself, oh, you know, I hate this outfit, or I'm tired, I can't do it, or fill in the blank with a million things that you can be saying that might be going wrong or hard? Or are you saying, okay, I've got this. Maybe I'm weak in this area, but I can do this. I can show up and make it happen. Those words that you say in your mind control your actions, and your actions control your destiny. So in S for self-belief, we really like to talk about I like to talk about hearing what you're saying in your mind, what you're repeating, and also practicing doing it in a different way so that you can build your self-confidence and your self-belief. So I wanted to just ask you a question for a second. I want you to think for a minute, as Albert Bandura would advise us, to think of something in the past that you have overcome that you thought you could never do. You know, we all have those things. I remember in high school, I wanted to be on the drill team. And I remember, back up actually, I didn't plan on telling this story, but in junior high, I wanted to be a cheerleader in junior high. And I had no experience with cheerleading at all. I just decided that I was gonna do it. Other than maybe jumping on the trampoline and doing a backflip, which is nothing the same at all. And I showed up for the tryouts and I practiced the cheer and stuff. And I remember I went out and I was so embarrassed, and the students were allowed to come watch. So mind you, I'm like in probably 8th grade trying out for 9th grade cheerleading. It was in the 80s, it was the mid 80s, and I had like permed hair and I had like the bangs, and we all ratted the bangs, and we sprayed the bangs with Aquanet. And I remember once, this is all over the place, but it's fine. I remember once I was in ballet and a fly came up in my ballet class and it flew up to me, and I was at the bar and I was standing, you know, tall and doing my plies, and a fly came up and flew and landed in my bangs and it couldn't get out. It was like a Venus flytrap, and it was like, and it couldn't get out. 80s. So that's what I looked like. Okay, just to paint the picture. I think had I gotten my braces off yet? I think just maybe barely gotten my braces off. So this is kind of the picture. Blue eyeshadow, pink eyeshadow, all the things. So I show up, I'm trying out for cheerleading. This is what I look like. I went out and I totally bonked. Like, I totally forgot the dance. I couldn't remember at all. People were watching. I was so embarrassed. And I remember I kind of did some of the moves, and I did it all right. It was not pretty, but I did it fine, whatever. And then at the end, I didn't know you were supposed to, I think it's called rally. I know this now because I had a daughter that was an NFL cheerleader, so I know now. I was supposed to rally, and I didn't know what that was, and I hadn't practiced anything. So I kind of turned in a circle, and I was jumping, and I kind of kicked a little leg out a little bit, and I went, woo! And it was just so embarrassing, and it was awful. Okay, so I did that. And then why did I do these things? I did not plan on telling you all this, but we're just gonna keep going with this. I think also was it 7th grade? I think so, maybe a year before that, I decided I was gonna try out for like the council in school. I don't know why. Why did I do that? It's so awful. And I remember I made these shirts that were turquoise blue, and there was like a mama duck and then like little ducklings following it. Why? I don't know. And it said something like, "Vote for Janae." This is so awful. And then I had a phrase on the back. I remember I went to 5 Points Mall and they like did the little steam thing to make my shirts for me. And it said on it, "Go early, stay late." Okay, it's not even a funny joke unless you know my maiden name was Gorley. And so none of the kids in junior high were witty enough to even get the joke because my dad said that they would. Nobody got it. So my thing was like, vote for Janae, go early, stay late. And my point was that like, I'll show up early and I'll stay late to take care of like the students, right? Okay, I didn't win. Like, obviously I didn't win. I was not cool enough. And then I didn't make it for the cheerleading thing. And so by the time I got to high school and I wanted to try out for the drill team, even though I'd been in dance class since I was like 5, I think, I didn't have very good self-belief, that is what we're talking about today, that I was going to make it. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And somehow I actually made it. And it was amazing and it was so much fun and I loved being on the drill team. So now when I reflect on all of those things, some of my losses and a win, I can use that as proof to myself to build confidence. So self-efficacy and perceived self-efficacy is, how do I believe, or do I believe that I can show up and overcome something that is hard? Albert Bandura, with research, like I said, tells us that that is one of the strongest ways for us to become resilient, is to look in our past and see what we've overcome so that we can use that as an indicator for us to keep going in the present. So as a family, when we're talking about performance psychology and parenting, there's a term that's called parental self-efficacy, and I write about it all the time in my schoolwork. But what's cool about it is, as a parent, and you're modeling for your kids as a parent, you can look in your past when you wake up and you feel tired and you don't want to go to work and you feel crazy and angry and happy and sad and all the emotions that come within a family. You can look back at your past and you can say, I could say to myself, at one point in my life, I failed and then I won. And I proved to myself that I can win. So same for you. Be thinking about that. So one thing that I thought you could do as a family for an activity is to model this for the kids, is to do I wrote my idea down, a we can do hard things wall, or you can call it whatever you want. But the point is that, and I never did this with my own kids, right? I'm not teaching you because I have it all down right. I'm teaching you because I just finished raising all my kids and I can clearly see all the things I did wrong and some things right. But if I were to go back, if I could go back, I would do a wall that was like a we can do hard things wall. And I would get pictures of times when either myself or my kids or my partner have done hard things and put it all up on the wall, and then maybe put some awards next to it, like if it was a hard soccer season and then you won a game, or that your child won a game, you could put the award up there, and just like a celebration wall. I think that would be an awesome way to start building confidence as individual members of the family and also as a family unit. I thought that was if anybody does this, I would love to see a picture and I will share it on my social media. I think that would be the coolest thing. So when I wanted to say for a minute with modeling, okay, our kids hear what we're saying all the time. It's like kind of awesome and kind of not awesome, and sometimes we don't want them to hear what we're thinking and saying, and sometimes we wish they would listen to what we were saying, and they don't. But what we can control is ourselves and the way that we the things that we let out of our mouths, that are our internal self-talk, and we speak it out loud. So like as a mom of many girls, I always tried to be conscious of not being hard on my body outwardly. And I'm not saying that I was always perfect, but I tried to have a self-talk and a perspective that was a perspective of building and not of tearing down. Like I said, that's always a work as you go along. So to model this lesson of self-belief, you could say something like, if you're feeling weak in a certain area, so like with my cooking, right? I suck at cooking, I don't cook. Yeah. And when I try, I burn myself, and it doesn't taste good. DoorDash is so easy. And so I could say, I suck at cooking, I hate cooking, which I've said that. Or I could reframe it, which is performance psychology, and I could say, I am not a very good cook right now, but I can learn how to become better, or I can learn to make a snack that's healthier, or whatever you want it to be, because then it's a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset where you can't change versus you can change this thing. Okay, so with self-belief, your kids are listening, and they're going to treat themselves in the way that they hear a lot of times. So it's a really cool way to help our kids is by focusing on ourselves. When I listen to my girls or my son be hard on themselves, I can't fix that for them and I can't change it for them. But what I can do is to focus on how I'm talking about myself and thinking about myself, because they pick up on that. Recently, my granddaughter, I have 4 grandkids, and my daughter sent me a picture of my 3rd granddaughter. So I have 1 granddaughter, 2nd granddaughter, grandson, granddaughter. So she sent me a picture of the youngest granddaughter, and she was so proud of how she looked in her cute little outfit. She wanted to take a picture, and her hair is all done, and she said, "Mom, take my picture." She's so proud. And I laughed. I thought it was the cutest thing. And then I texted back to my daughter and I said, I wish we could just bottle this self-confidence up that we have, when the kids are super little, because in a minute, they get to school, they get around friends, they see media and whatever happens, and their self-confidence kind of just starts ticking down. And so in this case, I would love to print off that picture of my little granddaughter and put it on the wall of "we can do hard things" or "we're amazing" kind of a wall, just so the kids and the family can look at it and remember that when they're feeling frustrated. So takeaway from today, and what I want you to remember, is that you're not always going to feel confident and you're not always going to have the strongest self-belief, but you can take actions to find it. You can dig, like digging for gold, to find the proof of success in your past, because you have some. And if you can't find it, go find a friend or a family member that loves you and that knows you, and sit down with them and just say, "Hey, I can't think of anything I've done well, ever. I can't think of anything I've overcome or accomplished. Will you just talk with me and help me remember some things that I've overcome before?" And write them down and be really intentional about keeping those things somewhere you can see it, to remind yourself. Such a powerful thing. For the journal prompt that I want to give you for this lesson, which is what I try to do all the time because it's so powerful and I love journaling, obviously, is, and I wrote it down, okay, it just goes with what we said. If you want to write this in your journal, you could do this by yourself or with your kids or as a family. You can say, what success have we had in the past that shows us that we can be successful currently and in the future? And that's it. So kind of what I was talking about. You can help each other think about past successes so that you can keep building as you go forward to be more resilient. And that's it. But thanks for joining, and like and subscribe wherever that button is. I have no idea. And I'll talk to you later.